Let's return back to these live visuals now from Brussels, where Prime Minister Modi, remember, is there. He's also paying tributes now to those who've lost their lives in the terror attack at the metro station. Aditya, if you can hear me, we are looking at these live visuals. Prime Minister Modi seems to have arrived there. Yes, so remember, Prime Minister Modi becomes the first foreign dignitary on a state visit now to Belgium. This is happening just a week after we've seen those terror attacks on the 22nd of this month that shook the town of Brussels there.
Well, yes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived at the Molenbeek metro station. In fact, in these live visuals, you can see the defense attaché. Right behind him is Manjeev Singh Puri. He is the Indian ambassador. You can, in fact, see S. Jaishankar, the Foreign Secretary of India. Vikas Swarup, the spokesperson of the Indian Foreign Ministry, is also out here. In fact, in these live visuals on your screens, the top foreign diplomats of India are here lined up. They are waiting for Prime Minister Narendra Modi to disembark from this vehicle. This vehicle on your screens is in fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in fact walking towards the Molenbeek metro station. He is in fact laying the wreath. These live visuals on your screens are a symbolic gesture, yes, but a big message in many ways that India stands in solidarity with the victims of Brussels. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in fact, laying the wreath live on your screens right now. We can, in fact, see Mr. Manjeev Puri and Nirmala Sitharaman of the cabinet. In fact, 2 minutes silence here on your screens, heightened security measures, but a big message from India that before the official engagements begin, Prime Minister Modi, in fact, laying the wreath out here and trying to convey a message of solidarity. The local government representative trying to make Prime Minister Modi understand that how this unfortunate event took place just a few days ago, and now the wreath laying ceremony is over, and from here Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be heading towards the ceremonial welcome, after which the bilaterals would be begin. The official engagements will begin in a few minutes from now, but this wreath laying ceremony at this moment taking place here. Apart from Prime Minister Narendra Modi, on your screens right now are the officials of the Indian embassy here. Manjeev Singh Puri, who has been leading the charge, in fact, to help Indians out here who were stranded after the bombings. Apart from that, Nirmala Sitharaman, the Senior Minister of Commerce in the Indian government. There is, of course, S. Jaishankar, the Foreign Secretary, Vikas Swarup, the spokesperson, right behind the Prime Minister. But the Prime Minister being explained how horrific this incident really was in many ways. And in fact, at this moment, we can see senior officials, in fact, trying to explain to him how, the entire area was later sanitized and help was provided to people. But PM Modi now, in fact, in a bit from now, would be heading towards, the ceremonial welcome that will happen. But yes, this was a gesture in many ways from the Indian side to convey to Belgium that India stands in solidarity after this particular attack. If we can, in fact, move a little ahead from this place to get you a frontal view of where Prime Minister Modi is. He is, in fact, been standing here for a few minutes and he is trying to get a sense of what has been happening here. The tragic bomb blast in which 38 innocent lives were lost, and immediately after that we also came to know about Ravindran Ganeshan, the one Indian national who also passed away in this horrific terror attack. So these live visuals on your screens on times now, conveying a message of peace, of brotherhood, of tolerance. Prime Minister Narendra Modi here right outside the Molenbeek metro station. This was one of the places where the terror attack had in fact taken place. Apart from that, there are senior dignitaries in his cavalcade who are also now moving back into their vehicles, and from here they will be going for the ceremonial welcome that will be taking place in the official arena, and thereafter the bilateral talks will begin. In fact, there are many parliamentarians of the European Parliament who would be also meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and now the vehicle of Prime Minister Modi slowly leaving this particular area. Heightened security measures on your screens. You can in fact see the vehicle of Prime Minister Narendra Modi now leaving from this particular location. The huge cavalcade and in fact, there are other dignitaries also with him. In fact, PM Modi waving towards the camera team here and the Times Now crew. He has, in fact, left the Molenbeek metro station. This was, in fact, a live broadcast exclusively on Times Now about Prime Minister Narendra Modi beginning his tour here. And, in fact, the official tour began with PM Modi, in fact, laying the wreath at the Molenbeek metro station, symbolically conveying that India stands shoulder to shoulder with Belgium, and terror has to be defeated. There's no point of tolerating terror, and countries in Europe, in Asia will come together and defeat terror. Back to you.
Yes, and Aditya, when you say that, it's important because the entire optics behind this visit of Prime Minister Modi, there being present at that site, spending a moment there to remember all those who've lost their lives. And when he also says, and I quote, that no words are enough to salute the resilience and spirit of the people of Belgium, does this also in a way mean that a lot of focus now is going to be on terror? So Prime Minister there, remember, has laid a wreath at the metro station where a suicide bomber had blown himself up on a train. This was last Tuesday. The Infosys employee Raghavendra Ganesan was also killed in that explosion. The Prime Minister there paying his tribute.
Well, yes, the audio isn't clear really, but yes, what I can tell you is that it was symbolically an important gesture by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to come here all the way to one of the sites of the bombings at the Molenbeek metro station, and in fact in many ways conveying to Belgium that India stands shoulder to shoulder. It's important to mention here, even as the official engagements begin, what will happen now is that there will be priority given to terror and security cooperation as well. In fact, the fact sheet of India and European Union does also include terror and security and political cooperation, apart from trade, investment and economic ties. So just to give you a sense of where Prime Minister Narendra Modi had in fact laid the wreath, this is in fact the location right outside the Molenbeek metro station, right adjoining the European Commission buildings. You can in fact see these flowers on your screens, and in fact to give you a better sense of what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has in fact written on that particular wreath, which is in fact been given here as a tribute to the victims of the Molenbeek terror attack. You can in fact now see on your screens this particular wreath that was laid here by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It says, in homage on behalf of the people and the government of the Republic, Sri Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of the Republic of India. So this particular wreath was laid here by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, symbolically a very, very important and crucial gesture. It's important to also mention this was one big political visit immediately after the horrific terror attacks that took place here, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi just minutes ago leaving from this particular location where he laid wreath and now heading towards the ceremonial welcome that will take place. And immediately after that he will be in fact meeting the Charles Michel, his counterpart here in Brussels, and thereafter there will be the India-EU summit. A lot on cards here in Belgium. A lot would be discussed apart from the trade and investment and terror, but there will be a big Indian community event where thousands of people are going to throng and giving out a reception in honor of the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi.
Yes, and Aditya, all this visit is coming in the backdrop of that terror attack, and that is something, which has to be remembered, because India is also a victim of the same, terror. And we've heard the Prime Minister actually making it very clear that when it comes to terror, let's all unite. That's the message that the Prime Minister also trying to send in his visit. Remember, later we are also expecting the Prime Minister to address the Indian community later tonight. That's going to be a big address there. We've already heard a lot of voices saying that they are expecting Prime Minister Modi to talk about how really he thinks that India should be stepping forward. But an important...
Well, yes, it's not just Belgium. Of course, there have been the recent Paris attacks and then the Belgium bombings in Brussels, where, there is some common link that the law enforcement agencies are looking at. What Prime Minister Narendra Modi came here and said, in fact, was that it was a message of peace and resilience that he wants to convey to Brussels and the local government here, the local people who have withstood this horrific terror attack. Now, India has been a victim of terrorism for a very, very long time in Southeast Asia, in fact, particularly coming in from the Pakistani side. And that's what the Indian government also wants to convey, that, terror has no religion, terror does not have any caste, but there's no particular form of terror, and that's why terror in all forms needs to be condemned, and the global community needs to come together and condemn terror together. And there should be perhaps security cooperation and links between countries so that there is assistance at different levels. Maybe the national security advisors can be in touch, and there are different mechanisms that are put in place so that terror is completely defeated. So that's what the strategy is all about. But right behind me here, still, the onlookers, and there were a few Indians also who were trying to get in a word, and in fact a glimpse of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, heightened security measures not just from the local law enforcement agencies but also from the SPG and other security forces that were present. It was in fact security down on ground and security above on the sky with choppers doing the rounds in this particular location. So the first event has concluded officially. The Prime Minister's visit has begun here in the Belgian capital of Brussels, and now in a few minutes from
Aditya,
now you will get...
these are also visuals of the ceremonial welcome now being accorded to the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi there, who remember is travelling to Brussels, and this is a three-nation tour there that he had. So this is what you're watching right now. These are live visuals coming in from the courtyard of the Egmont Palace there. Remember, where we've already seen that ceremonial welcome being accorded to the Indian Prime Minister Modi there. Earlier, he has visited the site of the blasts at the Molenbeek metro station there. Aditya is reporting live on this entire story for us. He will be with us in just a bit. But remember, another significant aspect of why this visit also becomes important is because through this visit, India is also looking to bury the Italian Marines case. Remember, that has a case seen a history of the last 4 years where we've seen a 4-year diplomatic feud with Italy that has gone toxic enough to threaten, in fact, a lot of ambitions to become a bigger global player. We are also now getting to hear that Italy already has demanded the release of the Marine on the very same day India has sought better ties at the summit. So this is one of the core issues that the Indian Prime Minister would be looking at. Apart from that, remember, a lot seems to be focused on anti-terror mechanism. Now, this visit coming just after the terror attacks we've seen last Tuesday in Brussels that killed 20, including an Indian techie there, Ravindran Ganesan there. The Prime Minister there already sending out a very strong message by visiting that site, paying his tributes to all those who've lost their lives in that terror attack. And he's also in fact released a statement before he left for Brussels on that visit, saying that we are with the citizens of Belgium in this hour of crisis. And he also says that this is a time for resilience, also to gather together to talk about a lot of anti-terror ops. So a lot of focus should be on how to tackle terror when these important leaders, remember, from different nations of the EU also sit together. And this is why this visit also becomes important, and the entire optics of this, because Prime Minister Modi now has become the first foreign dignitary on a state visit who's visited Belgium just a week after those deadly terror attacks that shook the town of Brussels. And we've also heard the MEA there making it very clear that there are going to be a mix of bilateral and multilateral diplomacy in the offings, as Prime Minister Modi there has departed on this three-nation tour. And later tonight is when we are expecting a big address coming in from Prime Minister Modi to the Indian diaspora there. But for the moment, after the ceremonial welcome has been accorded to Prime Minister Modi at the Egmont Palace courtyard, he is meeting with the other top dignitaries there in Brussels. And we also do know that a lot of focus should be on terror in this EU summit that Prime Minister Modi has departed for. And he will also be a part of a remembrance service there for the Indian techie Ravindran Ganesan, who also lost his life in that mindless act of terrorism. The Prime Minister there being accompanied by Nirmala Sitharaman and S. Jaishankar. Remember, that is the Indian contingent there which has moved forward for that very significant visit. Aditya now, remember, he is reporting and telling us why this visit is so very important. Aditya, we are looking at the optics of each, destination that Prime Minister Modi is stopping at, whether that was the metro station which was hit by the terror strike. Now he's been accorded that ceremonial welcome. What happens next?
Well, yes, in fact, an important message being conveyed by India to Brussels and, in fact, entire Belgium, that India stands shoulder to shoulder with them in this unfortunate incident that has happened. And in fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was here to lay a wreath in memory of those victims of the Brussels bombings. In fact, that also included an Indian Ravindran Ganesan who was being searched all across, but his body could not have been recovered, unfortunately. But thereafter, there was a ceremonial welcome of Prime Minister that has, in fact, commenced as of now. And now the official business would begin. There would be engagement and, in fact, bilateral talks. Both initially, there will be, talks between the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Charles Michel. And thereafter, the India-European Union summit would, in fact, commence. There would be, of course, the economic ties, trade, that would be, in fact, the top of the agenda. But yes, terror security cooperation will also be on agenda. But significantly,
Yes.
India trying to convey to Belgium that it stands in solidarity, and there would be.
Yes, so Aditya, a lot more to talk about as to why this visit is important, and that gesture also coming in by Prime Minister Modi, returning back on the other side quickly. Returning back to these live visuals, remember, coming in from Brussels, where we are looking at Prime Minister Modi, who's embarked on a three-nation tour, essentially first up to attend the EU summit. But a very strong message that the Prime Minister is wanting to send out, because remember earlier he's visited the site of the blast there, which shook the city of Brussels on the 22nd. That is only about last Tuesday. He spent a moment there remembering all those who've lost their lives, including the Indian techie Ravindran Ganesan there. After that, it was followed by the ceremonial welcome, which was accorded to the Prime Minister at the Egmont Palace courtyard. And now we are looking at a delegation level talks already underway. Aditya with us for more details. Aditya, what exactly is happening now, and how does the day look like? Because we are given to understand that this essentially is going to be an action-packed day, which is going to be ending with that big address to the diaspora.
Well, yes, it's an action-packed day. The first event concluded just a few minutes ago. We saw, in fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi arriving at the Molenbeek metro station, laying the wreath, symbolically conveying a very strong message that India stands shoulder to shoulder with Belgium in this, the unfortunate incident that killed 38 innocent people, including an Indian national, Raghavindran Ganesan. In fact, on your screens right now are visuals of the bilateral talks that are taking place. These are live visuals that you are getting on your screens. This is perhaps the first bilateral between India and Belgium that is taking place. Prime Minister Narendra Modi meeting Charles Michel, and in fact, the delegation level talks are in fact beginning. As I mentioned, of course, there are trade, economic ties, a joint strategic partnership on cards, but unfortunately there's been this terror attack. So we're being told that terror and security cooperation would also be discussed at length. So this has begun the delegation level talks, these visuals on your screens coming in. Immediately after, there are a few other events that would be taking place post-lunch. One of the most and biggest significant events is the India-European Union summit that's happening after 2012. In 2012, it had happened in New Delhi. And immediately after the India-EU summit, it is, of course, a big reception that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will receive from a few thousand Indians here in Brussels.
All right, and Aditya, held after a gap of about 4 years, this summit essentially is going to be talking and focusing a lot on counter-terrorism, especially in the aftermath of the Brussels bombings. For the moment, thank you for getting us the latest.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.